Today, let's explore a ClickUp feature that's designed for companies that are still working the old way and collaborating through emails and want to transition in a more modern way to work together in ClickUp. If it's the first time you see one of my videos, I'm Ramzi and I help businesses streamline their processes and scale their delivery through a project software you probably know about called ClickUp. In today's video, we're going to explore a feature called Emails to ClickUp. This feature lets you create tasks and comments straight from emails in ClickUp. The point of this feature and why I think ClickUp designed this feature is to transition from practices that was sending emails to each other to a more modern way of collaborating. The idea is that if someone sends you an email that's actually a task, you can just easily forward it to the right list in ClickUp, either as a task or as a comment inside of an existing task if it's in a certain context. I'm going to show you 3 use cases of how you can use emails to ClickUp. We're going to start with the 2 very simple use cases, the first one being sending emails and turning them into tasks in ClickUp. If you go to any list in ClickUp, like this client project, for example, and you go into the settings, you'll be able to email something to that list. And what happens is that once you send that email, the subject of the email will be the task name, then the body will be the description, and if you have any attachments in that email, they will also be added as attachments in the task. So it's a great way to save time from going into an email, copy and pasting everything, and handling that later as a task. Now, let me show you the first example. I'm here in my Gmail, and I got an email from a colleague telling me, "Hey Ramzi, small emergency, you can prepare the slides for a Code meeting, intro, context, issues, conclusions." It's a task, and it's basically related to a client work. If we get into ClickUp, we have a list right there that's called the Daily Planet. That's one of my clients. And if I right click on that list and go into email to list, I can just copy that email, get back to Gmail, and forward this to the list so that I can handle it later. Let's click forward and pick that email, paste it. And I can remove the content I don't need from the email because it will be created as a task. I don't even need the signature. I just want this. I'll click send. Now, if I get back into ClickUp, there is a task that was created called Prepare Slides for Daily Planet. I can just open it up, start collaborating here. I can even reply back to the person that sent it to me. I can say, there you go. I can attach the slides. I can kind of steer towards using ClickUp more and collaborating in ClickUp instead of going back and forth through emails. And I think that's the main reason why ClickUp developed that email to ClickUp feature. Another interesting way to send emails to ClickUp is to be able to forward your emails straight into a task. And I'll show you how you can do that right now. So I got into my Gmail and I got a colleague sending me the wireframes for a client. There you go, here are the wireframes, and there's the wireframes as an image attachment. That's great, but it's not really integrated in the project. And I have a whole client project right here for Monsters Inc. and I have all the steps going on. I would rather have these wireframes stored in ClickUp so that I can refer to them later and access them later. Because going through your email is a mess, whereas if everything is organized as tasks in a client roadmap in ClickUp, it'll save you hours for finding that back later. But we'll get into that step, web design right here, and we'll forward the email straight into that task. I'll click on the top right here on the dots, and I'll go into send email to task. And I'll copy that email address, and same principle, I'll get back to my Gmail and forward it like so to that same email. I can remove what's before, and I can remove my signature as well if I wanted to, and I can just click send. That way, that email, that attachment, it will not be created as a task, it will be created as a comment in our web design task. So I just refreshed my task, and here we go. We have the email as a comment right here, and we have the attachment that's here. And what's great is that we can open up that attachment and keep collaborating straight from ClickUp and say, for example, change the color, please. And we can mention the person that works on it, click send, and that person will be notified. You're kind of fostering some habits of using ClickUp instead of emails with that save to ClickUp feature. And that's why I like it, because let's be realistic. There's still some people in your company that have the old habits of sending emails, whereas it could have been a ClickUp task or a ClickUp comment instead. So these were 2 very simple use cases, but we're going to dive in a use case that's a little bit more interesting. We're going to create a client support list straight in ClickUp, and we're going to automate it so that whenever a client sends us a support email, we got it straight in ClickUp, and we can manage it as a task in ClickUp, and it can go through a support workflow. We can assign it and everything. I'm going to show you how you can do that. Back to our diagram, and what we want is fairly simple. We want that whenever a client sends us an email to support@upsysconsulting.com, it creates a task in a list in ClickUp to handle all that client support. We're going to get back into ClickUp and create that list first. Let's get in our delivery and create a list called client support. I'll create my list for now. I can even prepare my support workflow. I could create automations. I could create the view I like. If I want to handle this as a Kanban, I can create this right here. I can really prepare my client support list the way I want. And I can also invite the right people to handle that support. I'll get back to Gmail and I'll click the filters right here, and I'll say whatever is sent to support@upsysconsulting.com. I'll click create filter, and right here I can already see a few emails. As a rule for that filter, I'll say whenever a message is sent exactly to support@upsysconsulting.com, please forward it to a certain email address to set up. And then we're going to add a forwarding address, and that's going to be the address that's in the list in ClickUp. We're going to get back to ClickUp, right click here, go into emails to list. I'll copy that address and I'll go back to Gmail, paste it. I'll click next. And at that point, you might get some verification to do. So I'm just going through it. You're going to have to proceed with validating an email. You're going to receive that email actually back in ClickUp in your list. It'll ask you to verify that address. There you go. And I'll just go through it, click the link, verify the forwarding address, click confirm. You're going to have to go through that the first time you set up that email. Then we can delete that first task and get back to Gmail. This should be verified. And there we go. We have my email address. The ClickUp email addresses are a bit messy. They're a bit hard to read. What you can do is remember these numbers. This one is not used by our filter. It finishes with 7E7, and that should be the one we use in our filter. Let's go into the filter settings. Again, click create filter and go into forward to and pick that address. It should be this one, the one that finishes with 7E7. Perfect. We have our filter created. And from there, Gmail might ask you to verify your email address again. You're going to click continue. There's a lot of security going on with Google and Gmail, so you might have to go through that twice. So that's done. I'll just send an email and I'll refresh my mailbox and it should pop up right here. Perfect. We received the email. I'll just open it up, and I have an issue with my logo in the website. The logo appears pixelized. Sarah from Monsters Inc. This time, you don't even have to forward that email. Let's get back to our list in ClickUp. And if we get to our client support list, that email just popped up. And from now on, every new email that comes to this email address will appear in that list. And you will have all the information in the tasks. If they attach anything, you can have a look at the attachments. You can reply, you can collaborate on that task and assign it to the right persons. Maybe it's the topic of the yen. You can even move it to the actual client list. So you just drag and drop it and move it to the client list. And that way you can handle it straight in the client list. You can really organize that support process the way you want. And as you've seen, we've created a very simple filter in Gmail. Something else you can do is have a different list per client and have a different email address for each client and create a filter for each client. You can go as complex as you want to, but basically with Gmail or even with Outlook, you can create filters, and this will automate your support because your client will be able to still send you emails and you'll receive them straight in ClickUp and be able to manage that as a workflow, go through collaboration, go through statuses. Now, I hope these simple use cases help you out. As you can see, you can go from very simple, changing the habits in your company and going from emails to ClickUp, or creating an actual client support system straight in ClickUp by automating this with Gmail. Now, if you want to go further with ClickUp, you can access my free ClickUp mini course. The link is right in the description, and you'll get a series of email during which you will go from beginner to intermediate in ClickUp. But if you already know about the software and you really want to level up your company and your business delivery and achieve better results and become more efficient together, you can already go for my full ClickUp training, ClickUp Master. It's a full-on ClickUp training during which I explain the exact methodology through which I go when I set up ClickUp for a client. You will have the consulting and the business approach of how to set up ClickUp and actually tailor it to your business and stop wasting hours setting it up by yourself and making mistakes and starting to become efficient. If you really want to level up with ClickUp, you can go for ClickUp Master straight away. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time on another video.